Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, all of ages, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, we may be. Hope you're staying safe and healthy. So, I know I'm late to the party, but I finally got my arse to finish off Steel Path. Solo. And I just want to go over the star chart to explain a couple of things. So, Neptune. The index doesn't count towards Steel Path completion. So you can choose to ignore it if you must. But I felt if you're going to do the Steel Path, do every mission. So I did the index. Same goes for Mutilus Salad V. Doesn't count towards Steel Path, but did him anyway. Arcwing missions, the highest level they go to is the 80s. So they're a breeze. But all 238 have been done. Railjack doesn't actually have anything for us. Oh, I just woke up. Anyway, yeah, so I thought, because I know there are going to be some people out there trying to do it solo, or newer players to the game that are going to be doing it and they can't find squad. What did I use? I won't go over all my builds, but I will go over some of them as I explain. So, capture and sabotage. I use Wukong Prime with the mod Preparation, so you start off with max energy, and Prime Flow and Prime Continuity pretty much. I based him mainly on just duration, just so Cloud Walker can have as much time as possible, so you can get to the target, smack it about, then extract. Also DE, please, for the love of fuck, in an update in the future, can we have it so capture missions don't turn into exterminates? Please, for the love of Christ. Defense and mobile defense, Vorben Prime, and just stick down a flechette orb and hit your 4. And anyone trapped, blow them the hell up with a Kuva Brahma, Kuva Tsar, Tenet Envoy, any decent AoE weapon. Defense and infested salvage, Gara Prime, where you simply just have the Mended Splinters augment on, slap down your 4, and hit that wall with your 1, and rinse and repeat. And you should be good to go. Defection Wisp, with Dispensary from Protea as her 4th ability, and you just go up to the O2 canisters where the defected go to meet before you tell them to move out again, slap down one of each of your reservoirs on them, and you should be good to go. Disruption Ash with the Fenmore and the Leighton. And you cannot really fail with this, because all you have to do is build your Fenmore and your Leighton up to get them to both their Incarnate modes, activate that, and then activate the nodes in the mission, and when a Demolus arrives, simple. Shuriken, strip their armor, use either the Fenmore or the Leighton, whichever one you prefer, and just rinse them. Excavation and also mobile defense, Nyx Prime, which is also the same frame I used to beat Kayla Dathame, which is why you see the Ignis Wraith there. It's to get rid of those little buttons in between the orbital strikes on the Kayla Dathame boss. But yeah, for mobile defense and excavation, it's mainly for her Chaos ability. And Psychic Bolts to deal with Xmas units just to weaken them a bit. I'll tell you what, for Xmas units these days, Nyx and Ash have become 2 of the best of dealing with them. High Noon, aka Mesa Prime, or just a Mesa if you don't have a Mesa Prime yet, was good for just anything you want to nuke in general, but Void Armageddon, either Saren or Mesa for that matter. It's good to have one of each. Hijack. Hildren. Because shields matter. And it's pretty simple, just stand next to the item. Well, stand next to what you're hijacking and it will drain your shields. Obviously Hildren has plenty of shields and has pillage. And if you want, you can go into your fourth and fly around and suspend enemies in the air, then drop down and use your pillage and rinse and repeat. This is a no-brainer in OS Prime. Now, I did say you didn't have to do Alad V, but I did him anyway. Mutus Alad V, I should say. And it was basically this build. Same build I had for my Legendary Rank 2 test. And the Orthos Prime with Heat and Magnetic, just to bring his shields down, and then Heat and Slash, obviously, just for the damage to him directly. And you just get in his face and you start swinging and you don't stop. It may take a while, but it works. Index, well, I go with the boring old Rhino, but the Fenwell's pretty good. Inception, Korra, based on duration and range, with your Venari set to heal, and you just every part you capture, you drop down your Strangle Dome and move on to the next one and keep going around. But you will have to deal with the Xmas units because they do not get caught with Strangle Dome. Obviously, my main, Loki, Invisibilist. Good for exterminate, good for capture, good for sabotage, good for survival, good for boss fights. And I've got a Cynix and a Glaive and a Fenmore. But I have a couple of different Loki builds. I've got my Ensnared Loki, so I've replaced his Switch Teleport with Ensnare. A lot of duration, a lot of range, and we've got Energy Siphon, so we are never really out of energy. Why is sleepy time? Oh, Rest and Rage, yeah, for focus. Yeah, for focus farming I use either Banshee with Savage Silence, this with Rest and Rage, or just Equinox still. I literally can't remember, I went over the Fenmore build, but fire rate, magazine capacity, stats chance, 50% chance to deal 2000 damage on non-critical hits. This thing shreds through the Steel Path, same as the later. But in terms of like primary, secondary, melee weapons, choose what you think will do the most damage. Choose what you are comfortable with. I'm just giving you some advice. I'm just showing you what I used, and hopefully it gives you some ideas. I mean, any good AoE weapon like the Kuvasar, the Kuva Brahma, the Tenet Envoy, the Arcoplasma, or the Tenet Arcoplasma I should say. Also, digital extremes. The next time we get some Sisters of Parvos, can we have a Tenet lens, please? Thank you. Anyway, open world bounties, Railjack, Itan Sculptures, and Void Flood is my girl Titania Prime. I believe, yep, I've got a Roaring build. I've got a build with Gloom attached, which doesn't always seem to work. So I may change this out. And then I've got a regular, so no helmet abilities added, but preparation, so we start off with max energy. And it gets the job done pretty well. index picture because every now and then on index I like to take a different frame, but my basic build, even though it does less damage, it still does the job. And a Dewata Prime. Electricity and viral, heavy damage, but you're never really going to be doing heavy attacks with this. Random is as random does. I mainly use this just for leveling up stuff. So there would be an Equinox or a Banshee in this slot, but there's a reason why I've got Protea here with the Tenet Envoy, the Tenet Cyclone and a Legion. And I will get into that shortly. Sanctuary or ESO. Taking a Mirage Prime in and dropping Explosive Legerdaman and watching Saren mains with their Spore Miasma spamming just leave is always a joy. Spy, Ivara Prime, for the infiltrate augment that you can equip her with, so you can avoid all lasers. It's a no-brainer. Superstar DJ, Octavia Prime, naturally. And this is basically for any survival mission, just to make it even easier than it already is. I mean, I also took my ensnared Loki out and I just used ensnare, hit them with the Synex, then threw the Glaive Prime at them and never had an issue in survival. Even doing that to the Acolytes was bloody hilarious. But yeah, I also only used Octavia for the Damus Vaults, just to deal with the Necromex and for when you have to escort Lloyd about. Umbra, I never really used Umbra, but I've got him there. Saren Prime, like I said, you can take it to ESO if you want, or it can be a good room nuking frame. War Kitty, so Valkyr Prime, Loki Prime, Inaros, they were like, and yeah, so Nyx, Inaros, Loki, and Valkyr were like my 4 go-tos in doing bosses. So depending on, like, I used Valkyr for Till Rega, I used Loki for the Ropalo list, I used Inaros for Mutilus Alad V. Take what you want. Take what frame you think will be more suited for the mission. And in terms of like Sentinel or Companion, you know, you've got your Helios Prime, you've got your Carrier Prime, your Harass Kubra, your Adaza Kavat, your Smita Kavat, your Panzer Volpa Filer. Basically what everyone just uses these days. But yeah, I've just went through what I used in terms of Warframes and most weapons for Steel Path. I'm currently levelling up a Kuva Grappler, but what do I use? I use this one. God, how many open slots for Arcwing do I have? But yeah, Amisha for Watchful Swarm and Decoy. I mean, Amisha is the best Arcwing around. Changed my mind. But I wonder when that's going to happen. I'm thinking of when they talked about modular Arcwings years ago, because it means we'll have to say goodbye to the Amisha, which is unfortunate. Also a Mozzolon And a Prisma Veritux. I barely use the Prisma Veritux, but you can't unequip your melee weapons in Archwing. But there is, if you're still playing solo and you think you've got the right frames and the right weapons, and you're still struggling, but you can't find a squad in Recruit, or you're trying to play public and there's still no one around, fear not, I have something for you. So I'd like you to meet the team that if you ever feel a defense mission, actually no, not Interception, do not take these on Interception. I learned that they will screw things up, make things a bit more difficult for some reason. But yeah, if you're having trouble with a defense mission, travel a defense mission, if you're having trouble with contested salvage, you can always call upon Spectres, which means you don't truly have to play solo. And your Spectres will, for the most part, come out as XMS units. Except for Clem. I mean, look at Clem. And of course, I have a Saren as a Spectre with a Kuba Brahma. But you can always change it up. In between Saren, I also used Frontier with a Tenet Envoy. Whoa. Wait, are you kidding me? Why did you open up Clem? I wasn't even on Clem. And a Mesa with a Tenet on Kuba Brahma. But yeah, you got a Shield Osprey, you got a Moa, you got a Roller, you got a Charger, you got an Ancient Healer, you got a Corrupted Lancer. Any Spectre you think will help. Clem, just for the sake of it. You can also get Heavy Gunner Spectres if you wish, but honestly, between this team, it weren't needed. They're also really good for excavation. I also forgot to mention excavation. So yeah, if you're having trouble playing Steel Path solo and you can't find anyone to join your team, call upon these guys. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say. What have I got left to do in Warframe now? I know I've only got like, what, 3 or 4 things left? Let me have a look. Well, I've done Legendary Rank 2, done Steel Path. And I've got I've got like 4 things left to do. Yeah, but, oh well, I wonder how many of them I can get done before Deviri Paradox hits. Anywho, that's all from me. I hope my mumbling and rambling and poor description of what I use in the Steel Path helps all of you that are still going through it. And I shall see you